Hello everyone, this is Gracie here. In this video, we'll be discussing about presentation of financial statement. So in this IFRS subject, the third unit is discussion of presentation of financial statement. So let me get into the introduction of what is a financial statement. So according to Companies Act 2030 uses the terms financial statement for preparation and presentation of the final accounts of the company. So the presentation of the final accounts of the company is termed as financial statement. So where this financial statement in relation to a company includes. So what does this financial statement includes is a balance sheet as at the end of the financial year, a statement of profit and loss, a cash flow statement for the financial year, the statement of equity, changes in equity if applicable, and or and any notes to accounts which is an explanatory part to be affixed along with the balance sheet and profit and loss. So any explanatory information regarding profit and loss or balance sheet items will be explained in the notes to accounts in a theoretical form. Next, all companies, whether it is one-person company, small company, or a big company, needs to maintain a financial statement. So, according to Section 2, Subsection 41 of the Companies Act 2013, financial year in relation to any company means the period ending on 31st March of every year. So, this Companies Act 2013 requires that the financial statement of a company to give a true and fair view of the statement of affairs of the company, compiling with the accounting standards prescribed by the central government and be in the form or forms provided in Schedule 3. So, what is the main intention of the Companies Act 2013 is their financial statement should be in a true format with a fair view of the state of affairs of the company, which should abide all the accounting standards and the rules which has been laid down by the central government in the form which has been prescribed according to or provided in Schedule 3. So all the three conditions to be satisfied according to Companies Act 2013 to prepare a financial statement. So what are these features of Schedule 3? So Schedule 3 of a Companies Act 2013 provides that the manner in which a company, whether it is a public or a private, should prepare its financial statement, that is its balance sheet and profit and loss, along with the other documents like your cash flow statement, changes in equity statements, and notes to accounts. It has been introduced to bring more transparency, to make financial statements more comprehensive by more disclosure requirements. So this Schedule 3 has brought this or introduced this to bring more transparency to the final users or to the users of your financial statement information, to be more comprehensive and by more disclosure requirements. So what are the important features of Schedule 3 are it is investor friendly, easily readable and transparent. So as it should be maintained to the investors, as the investors are the information seekers of the financial statement, it should be very investor friendly, easy readable and transparent. New detailed disclosures requirements have been introduced. A disclosure of Schedule 3 are in addition to and not in substitution of disclosure required under Accounting Standards and Companies Act 2013. Schedule 3 gives prescribed formats for both balance sheet and the statement of profit and loss. Schedule 3 prescribes only vertical format for presentation of financial statements. Only broad and significant items are to be shown of the face of the financial statement. Additional information are to be provided in the notes to accounts. All the elements in the balance sheet are to be classified as assets, liabilities, or equity. The more significant feature of Schedule 3 is that all items of asset and liabilities and current or non-current and are presented separately on the face of the balance sheet accordingly. Current maturities of long-term borrowings will now be classified under the head Other Current Liabilities. So details pertaining to aggregate number and class of shares allotted for consideration other than cash, bonus shares and shares bought back shall be disclosed only if such an event has occurred during a period of 5 years immediately preceding the balance sheet date. Debit negative balance of any reserves or statement of profit and loss shall be only shown under the head reserves and surplus even if the total is negative. Bifurcation of fixed assets into tangible and intangible as separate items on the face of the balance sheet is a new requirement under Schedule 3. The term sundry debtors and sundry creditors have been replaced by the term trade receivables and trade payables, respectively. Hence, debtors, creditors other than for goods and services cannot be grouped under trade receivables, payables. These are to be disclosed separately in the balance sheet. In the balance sheet, bills receivable will form part of trade receivable and bills payable part of trade payables. The format for statement of profit and loss does not list any appropriation item on its face. All appropriations are to be shown as notes to accounts under reserves and surplus in the balance sheet. Unamortized portion of expenses such as ancillary borrowing cost, discount or premium on borrowings to called as miscellaneous expenditure no longer to be shown as a separate head under assets. These have to be disclosed under other current assets and non-current assets. Specific disclosures are prescribed for share application money, dividing the same into two parts as under. Share application money not exceeding the capital offered for issuance and to the extent not refundable will be shown separately on the face of the balance sheet under equity. Share application money refundable will be shown under the head other current liabilities. Capital advances given for acquiring fixed assets are now required to present it separately under the head long-term loans and advances rather than capital work in progress. These are treated as non-current because on receiving the fixed assets, a capital advance would get transferred into another non-current assets. Details of all commitments are to be disclosed and not only of capital commitments. So these are the new amendments which has been done in your Schedule 3 balance sheet format, which has been vertically presented. So based on this, we will work out the problems and the classifications will be done. So these are the new features of Schedule 3. So the presentation of balance sheet is similar to the previous balance sheet what we have worked out. There is slight changes in the balance sheet. That's it. Apart from that, it is a simple way or the similar way of recording the entries. The next presentation of the profit and loss statement is also the same, where we have revenue from operation. From revenue from operation, we have other incomes. Then we have total revenues. Then the expenses. Then under expenses, we have various expenses like cost of materials consumed, purchase of stock in trade, changes in inventories of finished goods, work in progress, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation, other expenses. Next, total, we have our total expenses. So from our total revenues minus your total expenses, we make it profit or loss. So based on that profit or loss will be used for deciding your EPS, that is earnings per share. So this is a format of your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement according to Schedule 3. So thank you everyone. From the next video, we'll be discussing the problems based on the financial presentation of financial statement. So let us get into the first illustration in a presentation of financial statement chapter. So under this illustration, under which heading and subheading will the following items appear in the balance sheet of the company as per Schedule 3 Part 1 of the Companies Act 2013. So they have given us capital reserve, goodwill, sundry debtors, sundry creditors, loose tools, provision for tax. So we need to classify it into heading and subheading, that is main group and subgroup. So as you all know, capital reserve, you will understand it will come under reserves and surplus. Yes, it comes under subgroup reserves and surplus. What is the main group under shareholders funds? So if you look into your balance sheet format, you have your balance sheet format, you have share capital, share under this main heading shareholders funds, you get reserves and surplus. So under shareholders funds, the subgroup is reserves and surplus. Under reserves and surplus, you will get your capital reserves. Next, goodwill. So goodwill will usually appear in your asset side, which is an intangible asset. So it will appear under non-current assets. The main group is non-current asset, the subgroup intangible assets or fixed asset, which is intangible. So it appears here, which is under main group is non-current assets. Under non-current assets, it is with the subgroup fixed assets, which is intangible assets. So you need to remember these are the basic points where it is simple for you all to understand, but you need to remember where to classify. The classification of these figures into the balance sheet format gives you marks for this chapter. The main intention of this chapter is for you to learn where to classify these items in the balance sheet, so that easily you can score marks under this chapter. Next, you have sundry debtors, which will obviously appear under current assets and which is changed with the subgroup named as trade receivables in your balance sheet. So current asset main group, under the subgroup trade receivables, sundry debtors will be recorded. Next, sundry creditors, main group is current liability. Under current liability, the subgroup is trade payables. So where according to the format, you have current liabilities and main group, under that trade payables, under that you will be recording your sundry creditors. Next, loose tools, which is an asset, current asset, which comes under your inventories. So the main heading is loose tools is your item, so which comes under your current assets. So under current assets, you have inventories. Under inventories, you will be recording your loose tools. Next, provision for tax, which will appear, provision for tax which will appear, which is a provision which you are making, which is a short-term provision which will come under your current liabilities. Tax is a liability for you to pay. You make a provision now so you can pay it in the future. So it is a liability for you, so it will appear under your current liability. So as it is a current liability, because you need to pay it immediately, it is not a long-term liability what you're going to have with you. So it is a short-term provision which comes under current liability. So which is under current liability, short-term provisions, your provision for taxation will be recorded. So this is the classification which you're supposed to give, which will usually be for 2 marks, will be asked for 2 marks for you to solve it. So the next problem, similar problem will be discussed. So under this illustration 2, under which heading and subheading will the following items appear in the balance sheet of the company as per Schedule 3, Part 1 of the Companies Act 2013. Debentures, sinking fund, interest accrued on investment, outstanding expenses, bank overdraft, proposed dividend. So we are going to classify it under main group and subgroup. So debentures. So debentures are nothing but your borrowings, the company's borrowings. So it is a long-term borrowings. So under which heading will it come under? Long-term borrowings under non-current liabilities. So you have long-term borrowings, long-term borrowings under non-current liabilities. So next is sinking funds. So what is sinking funds? It is the funds which is kept aside to meet your future uncertainty, or it is the funds which is kept aside to pay it for your, or to meet your future expenses, or for repayment of your debts, long-term debts which have been borrowed from your shareholders or from your debenture holders. You need to repay it back. You can take funds from the sinking fund. So it is like a kind of reserves which is being maintained by the company. So it will come under reserves and surplus under the main group shareholders funds. Next, interest accrued on investments. So on investments, the interest which has been accrued. So it is an asset which comes under other current assets under the main group current assets. Next is your outstanding expenses. Your outstanding expenses is a liability. So this liability will come under your subgroup other current liabilities, main group current liabilities. Bank overdraft, it's also a liability, which is nothing but a loan, which comes under your liability, which is nothing but a bank overdraft is nothing but a loan which you have been borrowed. So it will come under your short-term borrowing. It is a borrowing for a shorter period of time. So which will come under your current liabilities. Next, proposed dividend. So proposed dividend is also a liability. You take shares from the shareholders. You're liable to pay company. You need to assume yourself you are the company and prepare the financial statement. So when you assume yourself you are the company and prepare the financial statement, then you will understand it clearly where to allocate which expenses under which heading. The proposed dividend is a dividend which you are supposed to give it to your shareholders for the shares which they have been bought from your company. So when you're going to give a proposed dividend to them, it is a current liability. So it under the main group current liability, and it is under the subgroup short-term provisions. Why is it under short-term provisions? Is because proposed dividend is a dividend which will not be issued immediately. It will be declared in this financial year, and that dividend will be issued in the next coming or the next financial year. So as it is not being paid but it is liable to be paid, so it is a provision which is being made. So this dividend is being set up to be paid in the future. So and dividend payment made before company's annual general meeting and release of the final financial statements. So it will be shown in your financial statement stating that it is a liability to be paid but kept as a provision, which is kept as provision to be paid in the coming or upcoming financial year. So your proposed dividend will be main group will be classified under the current liabilities under the heading short-term provisions, which is set aside to pay for the next financial year. So the next illustration is from the following particulars. Calculate reserves and surplus for the year ending 31st March 2016. So this calculation is a part of your balance sheet calculation, reserves and surplus, which is an important calculation to be noted in your balance sheet calculation. So which has a major adjustment in it. So please concentrate in this problem. First point, profit and loss account balance from last year is rupees 62,500. So last year's profit is balance is 62,500. The net profit for the year before tax is 5,40,000. Provision for tax at 40%. So profit before tax is 5,40,000 and they have given provision for tax which is at 40%. Next, you stated transfer to general reserve 32,500, dividend equalization funds 40,000, development reserve 37,500. Dividend on 7.5% on preference shares of rupees 3 lakh, dividend on 12.5% on 50,000 equity shares of rupees 10 at rupees 7.50 called up, calls in arrears rupees 13,000. Corporate dividend tax at rupees 20.36. So these are the adjustment which has been given. So we will be calculating and find out what is the actual reserves which we have got from this current year. So let us get into the solution calculation, and I will be explaining what is each item and where to be considered. So the solution is reserves and surplus calculation, particulars, amount and amount. Reserves and surplus is the heading. Opening balance, as we don't have the opening balance for reserves and surplus, from the opening balance is nil, add transfer to general reserves. So the previous year's profit is transferred to the general reserves as per the question, profit and loss balance from the last year. So that profit and loss balance will obviously be transferred to the general reserve, which is 62,500. So we have opening balance transferred to general reserve. So before that, first we will write the items which are related to general reserves. So as per the question, what is stated here, we have general reserves transfer to general reserves 52,500, dividend equalization funds 40,000, and development reserves 37,500 are the reserves which is to be maintained. General reserves are the reserves which has been transferred from the profit which is the earned from the from that particular period. What is dividend equalization fund is? Dividend equalization fund is where a fund which is maintained by an well managed and reputed companies to pay the dividend in a year to year in order to manage the reputation of the company even in the bad situation. So it is a dividend which has been maintained to equalize the dividend ratio, stability of the dividend which has been distributed to the shareholders. So when such reputed companies well manages the dividend policies well and in an organized manner, they maintain a dividend equalization funds so that they don't get into a bad situation where they will not be able to repay the dividend in a equalization manner. That is why they maintain a dividend equalization fund. As it is a reserve, we include that in the reserves column. So general reserve 52,500 and dividend equalization fund 40,000 and development reserve. Development reserve can be any reserve which has been maintained for the development of particular land, property or anything from any hazardous or harmful activities. Reserve which has been maintained for future development. So these reserves will be added up to find out what is the total reserves. So according to the calculation, transfer to general reserves, so 52,500. Next, development reserves 37,500. Dividend equalization funds 40,000. So 52,500 plus 37,500 plus 40,000 is your total reserves what you have. So which comes up to 1,30,000. So 52,500 plus 37,500 plus 40,000 will give you 1,30,000. So this is your total reserves. Now we will calculate the profit what we have earned for this particular year and the profits what we have earned and how it is being distributed to the dividend holders. To the shareholders. How the dividend had been distributed to the shareholders and what is the remaining amount which will be transferred along with the current reserves which has been maintained. So now we have 1,30,000 as a reserve which has been set apart. Now we have profit, opening balance of the profit and loss account. In the question we have profit and loss balance from the last year which is 62,500. So 62,500 is the opening balance of the profit of the last year which we have been shown here, 62,500. Next we have earnings after tax. That is the other information which is given in the question is we have net profit for the year before taxes 5,40,000. So we also have for the year profit which is 5,40,000 before tax and provision for tax at 40% is also given. As this profit is earned for this current period, 5,40,000 is the tax into 40% out of it will give you 2,16,000 is the provision what we are supposed to make. So out of 5,40,000 minus 2,16,000. So how did you get 2,16,000 is 5,40,000 provision for tax which is stated in the question which is 40%. So 40% out of 5,40,000 will give you 2,16,000. So the profit what you have earned is 5,40,000 minus provision what you make is 2,16,000 will give you the balance 3,24,000 is a profit after tax what you have got. So the total earnings what you have now is 62,500 profit for the previous year plus the current year's profit after minusing your provision for taxation. You have at present 3,86,500. With this 3,86,500 we will be deducting the appropriations which is mentioned here, continuation of the problem, less appropriations transferred to general reserves. So as it is in the question here, as you read the question which is stated here, transfer to general reserve 52,500, dividend equalization fund 40,000 and development reserves 37,500. So these are the funds which is obtained from the reserves which has been maintained by the company. As mentioned in the question, transfer to general reserve 52,500. Every year, a certain amount will be transferred to general reserves. So we will consider this transfer to general reserve 52,500, dividend equalization funds 40,000, and development reserve 37,500 to be transferred from the profit what is earned from for that particular period. So according to the calculation, we have first shown the reserves what is shown in the problem. So this is the total reserves, that is transfer to general reserves, development reserves, dividend equalization funds is your total reserves what you have been maintained is kept aside. Then from the profit we will deduct the reserves which has to be maintained. So that is the reserve which has to be maintained. So now, as they have given in the problem, the profit which is earned for the previous year is 62,500. Then the profit which is earned for the current period is 5,40,000. Then after maintaining provision, we have got 3,24,000. Then the balance, when we add up both the profits, we get 3,86,500. So from this provision profit what we have earned, we are going to make reserves for the upcoming year. So when we make reserves out of it, the reserve what we're going to transfer, or the from this profit, the reserves how much we're going to transfer is 52,500. So less appropriations from the profit what we have got, which is 3,86,500, less appropriation transferred to general reserves. So last year how much they have transferred to general reserves is 52,500. So here also we will transfer to general reserve 52,500. Then what are the other expenses you can meet related to shares? Related to shares will be deducted with this profit. With the what are the, when you earn profit, it is the responsibility of the company to pay back to its creditors, shareholders. Creditors are nothing but your shareholders, debenture holders. You're supposed to pay back their dividends and interest. So from the profit, proper appropriation should be divided. So first you transfer to general reserves 52,500 as the previous year. Next you distribute your dividend. So in your question you have dividend which is stated. Dividend on 7.5% on preference share is rupees 3 lakh. So preference share is how much? 3 lakh. 3 lakh into 7.5 into 7.5% will give you 22,500. So you have recorded dividend on preference share 22,500. So you will be paying, will be transferring 52,500 to general reserves for the next year. You are paying dividend of 22,500. Next, again in the question they have stated you have dividend on 12%, 12.5% on 50,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, rupees 7.50 called up. So here 50,000 equity shares of rupees 10, so which is 50,000 into 10 will give you 5 lakh shares, 5 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, where it is called up for 7.5. So 50,000 into 50,000 into 7.5 will give you 3,75,000 is the share value. On that, dividend is 12.5 percentage, which will give you 46,875. You will minus your call in arrears 13,000. You will minus your calls in arrears, which is 13,000. So what is exact this calculation is, dividends on equity share is 5 lakh, called up value is 7.5, which will give you 3,75,000. You will minus your call in arrears. So call in arrears is any person who buys the shares who is liable to pay the full amount of these shares. When he is not paying the full amount of the shares, they call up thrice. In the third call, the outstanding amount will be held as call in arrears. So when the shares dividends are being issued, this calls in arrears will be minus from the dividend amount. It is the unpaid amount which the shareholders is liable to pay, for that particular share. So calls in arrears will be minus from the profit what is earned. So next, dividend on equity shares, which is on 5 lakh, which is called up at 7.5, where you will be getting 3,75,000 minus 13,000 call in arrears amount, where you will be getting the balance 3,62,000. On that, 12.5% dividend will be charged. So your actual worth of share is 3,62,000 at 12.5%. So 12.5% will give you 45,250. Next in the question you have here corporate dividend tax at 20.36. So this corporate dividend tax is to be charged on the dividend what the company has been distributed. So what is the dividend with the company has distributed is dividend on preference shares, which is 22,500 plus dividend on equity shares, which is 45,250. So it is 67,750. On that, 20.36 percentage will be charged, which will give you 13,793 793.9 as a roundup figure. 13,794 is the corporate dividend tax on dividends which has been charged. Next, your dividend equalization fund, which is mentioned in the question. Dividend equalization fund 40,000 and development reserve 37,000 will be shown here, will be deducted from the profit. So from the profit 3,86,500, your appropriations, that is the amount which you're transferring to general reserve, the dividend which you're paying to preference shareholders, the equity shares dividend after deducting your calls in arrears, that is calls in arrears, your unpaid amount which you are liable to pay to the company, which is liable to be paid to the company, which is unpaid. That is why it has been deducted on the share value, and then the dividend is being calculated. That dividend and corporate dividend tax and dividend equalization funds, which will be carried forward for the next year. Development reserves, that will also be carried forward. So all this will be deducted from the profit which is earned from the current year, and anything which is left over, that will be transferred to reserves and surplus for the upcoming year. So now when we total up all these appropriations, you get 2,11,544. So how much is your total profit? 3,86,500 minus 2,11,544. So which is 3,86,500 minus 2,11,544, which will give you 1,74,956. So this is the balance what you have got after paying all, after transferring all your reserves, after paying all your taxes, and after meeting all your dividends. The balance what you have got is 1,74,956. So the reserves what you have maintained in the previous year is 1,30,000 plus the balance what you have got from the profit this year is 1,74,956. So the total what you have earned stored in your reserves and surplus is 3,04,956. So this is how you calculate your reserves and surplus. So thank you everyone. The other problems will be discussed in the upcoming videos.